Action.
Right, right. Homebrew number 3. Having completely finished homebrew number 1 and having just bottled number 2, kind of a bit of a time lag, I want to get cracking on number 3 straight away so that I've got some beer when I finish number 2. This one's going to be a Milestone IPA, which I haven't done an IPA yet, I've just been doing bitters. But I know from experience I tend to like a more strongly flavoured beer than well, most beers you buy in the pubs. And I like IPA, but I'm still going to hop it up a bit, not with any bittering. But I've made up 2 hop bags, the larger one for a bit of flavouring and the smaller one for some aromas. The hops are Brambling Cross hops, which are used in my favourite beer of all time. And at the moment I'm just heating up the 2 cans of extract, ready to go in my fermenter, which is probably ready to go-ish. I've got a jug here of sanitizer, which includes the tin opener, which I've also washed. This has all been cleaned. So now I'm going to take the world's best oven gloves and get cracking on putting the extract in the fermenter. Take out the air though, leave that somewhere there. Now I deliberately turned it up the other way because, as I discovered last time, when you open the lid, you quite often get the lid in the extract. So if having heated it up or in boiling water upside down, that's all now sanitised. Here we go. Interesting. Definitely not as it's not as bitter as I was expecting. Oh well. Right. Ups a daisy. In we go. Now that will do for the moment. Kettle there's almost boiled. Do number 2. Yeah, this is a 2-can kit as opposed to needing any sugar, because I read about the ones that 2-can kits being a lot tastier than the ones that require sugar, which the first one I did was like had sugar and was basically beer squash. Spill as much of this as possible, like that, and like that. And one little trick that I saw recently on a YouTube video is when you pour it in, you pour it over the lid, which then takes all the gunk off the lid. Easy when you know how. Pretty good. Right, I think I'm going to give it like half a kettle full on top of that. So I want to keep it fairly cool because I'm going to strain off a panful and boil it up to put the hops in. Right, I'm just going to open up my new bag of spray malt. I want to add a little bit of malt to it. Fairly common in the brewing world, I suppose you could call it, of souping up a beer kit. If you want maybe a little bit more alcohol, maybe a little bit more colour, which is kind of what I'm getting with this medium spray malt here. Can you zoom in on that? And for the sake of interest, this is what I added to the last one, which is light spray malt. Anyway, it's fairly academic. Alright, got my scissors, which are probably now wet, but never mind. This is also, I also end up using this in the bottling phase. Okay, in we go. Now I'm taking the spoon out this time because the last time we did it we got it all up the spoon, didn't we? Yeah, you'll notice I'm not measuring this at all because I'm too lazy. Right, 500 grams, I reckon probably at least 300 of them have gone in there now. Now I'm going to Right, you've caught us having put in about 400 grams of amber spray malt, which is just purely off my own ideas there. I like want a bit more alcohol, colour it down a little bit, even though it's an IPA, which is kind of defeating the point, but I'm just putting cold water in. I need to dilute the concentrated works down now, and also that's a cheap and cheerful way of aerating the wort. We want 23 litres, which is 5 gallons, which is I've just made a little mark on the outside there, and we want to get it down below 25 degrees centigrade. But because we have to strain off a pan of wort to boil up the hops, that ends up going back in quite hot. So I think we're probably going to end up too hot again. Strain off the pan. Right, I'm going to boil that up. Right, the plan is to bring this to the boil. I'm not doing any additional bittering, so I just want to add a bit of flavour. So I'm going to chuck in my larger of my 2 hot bags. Oh, wish you could smell a vision, they smell delicious. Chuck in my larger of the 2 hot bags and boil it for 15 minutes, which is enough to get some flavour in there, but not enough to start the bittering. Then I'm going to do a hot tea with the remainder. Okay, the wort sample has just come to the boil. I'm being very careful it doesn't boil over. And now it's time to chuck in the hot bag. There we go. And if I get me stirry spoon, I'll poke that around a bit and leave it to go for the next 15 minutes. I've just poked it around again, and we're at about 10 minutes in now. Giving it a poke and a prod, make sure everything's nice and circulating well. Okay, and my hot bag's had 15 minutes on the boil, so I'm now going to remove it. And last time I did this, I discovered these are very useful for just putting things in, and obviously that's going to have to drain, and it actually drained rather well in this one of these pots last time. Also, have a good squeeze it. Ouch, that's hot. That's going to make that too hot, so I've poured a sink full of cold water, got the lid back on, and I'm hoping I can reduce the heat quite quickly. I don't want to wait till tomorrow to put the yeast in. I think this will float. Bring it up. Take the lid off. Right, just this has been sitting in a basin full of cold water for about the last 20 minutes. It looks almost like chocolate. You got that off the sound of the light. Delicious-ish. Smells like malted milk biscuits, which is not really a surprise. Right, now I need to put some icy cold water in on top of that. A little splash more. Oh yes, that's looking good. 22, 24-ish. Perfect for putting the yeast in. So we're going to make a hot tea. Boiling water, that goes in. Then we do warm water, 40 degrees-ish. And we wake the yeast up a bit. Right, that lets it brew for about 5 minutes. Right, I'm going to measure my original gravity so I can work out my alcohol content when I'm finished. All we're going to do now is add the yeast and the hot tea, so I can safely measure my... Right, that's when the thing just started to float there. And let's go and hold it on a level surface and see what it looks like. That's looking to me about 46 maybe. Because I didn't sterilise that, I can't just throw that away, but I've got 5 gallons of the stuff. I mean, actually that looks more than it is. It's only that much. About 3 mouthfuls. Right, can I have a look in the hot tea? That's looking, I've squeezed it a few times, so I'm not sure I'm supposed to do that. It makes it quite cloudy, but there's our hot tea, which I'm now going to put in the other tin, so that anything that leaks out I can reuse. But that can now go, see daisy. Oh, I could almost drink it. Not very nice. Right, it can go in. Now I'm going to mix up some sort of bath warm water, the temperature of bath water roughly, about 40 degrees, so that I can wake the yeast up. Safe now we can put the yeast in. Right, there's our yeast all activated, hopefully. Not completely killed off for the fact that I actually activated it rather than just pouring it in. And now it's going to go in. There we go. Gentle stir, I know some people don't. Just a gentle stir. Distribute it around a bit. Lid on. Oh, actually, let's give that a little bit of a wipe. Last time it ended up all sticky. Right. That. Where's my little airlock? That'll do. Right, let's go and put it inside. Okay, we're about 16 hours into this brew, and what you're looking at there, hopefully, is the yeast head through the lid with the light of the camera. Yep, I think we're getting there, sort of. If I move it a bit, you can see it there. There we go. And she's off. I think I just leant on the lid. Quite slow actually compared to the last one. But this is the first time I've used this airlock. I don't know how much it releases in one go. It could very well be more per glug. And temperature, I've got the brew belt on at the moment. Temperature is 22-ish. There we go. It's now day 4, and fermentation has slowed down. I give the this barrel here a little bit of a shake every now and again just to wake things up, but it seems to be quite happy. I think I can show you what's going on through here. I don't know how easy that is to see. Sort of a bit milky there. Still a bit of a yeast head. Still going. And I've been using the brew belt a bit because it's a little bit cold in here. There we go. That's day 4, and I'm quite optimistic we're going to have quite a lovely beer.
Okay, I'm getting ready to bottle my IPA now. In here, in this box, I've got 24 litre PET bottles and also some Cooper's bottles, some 500ml bottles, which I've already drunk of batch 2. I've got a funnel here with the bottom cut off, and I have a cupful of amber spray malt, as was used in the brewing process, which is that one there. I'm going to use that to prime the bottles. I'm going to use a sort of slightly over level teaspoon of spray malt per bottle before filling them up. Okay, I'm about halfway through, or just a little bit more than halfway through my bottles, and you can see what happens to the funnel there. This is much better than it was last time. The real key to this particular job is to keep everything dry. This stuff goes incredibly sticky, incredibly fast, and it's like, I don't know, trying to force tarmac through a sieve after a while. But I'm almost there. Got about 8 or 9 more bottles to do, and then we'll get on with bottling. Right, welcome to the brewery. This goes to show how much space you don't need in order to brew. This thing here this is our little mower, and this is just the sort of crap you get in every house. Right, I'm going to take a final reading. I know that it's a little bit high still, but I need to get this stuff bottled, and it's stayed the same for the last few days. Oh, forgot the important bit. Take the lid off the airlock, otherwise it sucks water in. And this final reading also serves to clean out the end of the tap here. That basically hasn't changed for a few days, so and I'm happy that it ain't going to go much further than that. Now I'm going to attach my bottler, which I've just sterilised using a kettle, and I'm going to attach that in there. Yeah. Right, the first couple are going to be very grossy because there's a lot of yeast in the bottom of this one. So let's turn on the tap. Glug, 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 glug. Not even a single drip. How dull. Right. This. Right. Bottle number 1. I'll loosely put a cap on top of that, so I want to. Oh no, they've got seals on them. Damn. Let's do another one. I get the feeling this hasn't finished fermenting yet, but I know it isn't going to go much further. Okay, I just had to film this because I'm enjoying this immensely. I'm hoping this is indicative of what's going to happen. It's the first time I've used clear plastic bottles. So, I wanted to share what my future pints look like when they're going in the bottles. And I must admit, I've had a problem with head retention on the beers I've made so far. Obviously this is going in, this is being mixed with, sorry, I've got to redo my grip here. This is being mixed with malts for priming, and there's a fairly generous amount in there. But I just wanted to share that because it's a thing of beauty. And I do hope my pint ends up with a head like that. Okay, we're almost getting to the point where it's much easier to do this in the kitchen, and also I can now very gently move the fermenting vessel when it's almost down to the tap level. Quite a few beers bottled. So that's our sediment layer, and I must say everything cleared out really quite nicely in the fermenter. And there's our batch, and I make that 22.5 litres, give or take the gaps at the top, of beer. I'm quite pleased, especially the way that came out of the fermenter. Right, we're just about to have dinner, but I wanted to do a quick recording of me cracking open one of my IPAs, and it's now, gosh, I'll lose count. I'll put it on the screen how long it's been since I actually made these and made it and bottled it. I've already had some anyway. Delicious stuff. Really enjoying it. Great out of the fridge though. Using my Beachy Head pint glass, my favourite pint glass. This is from the Beachy Head microbrewery, and you'll only find these glasses in the Tiger Inn in East Dean in East Sussex. But so it's my
my favourite pub. You do my favourite beer, and now it's going to get some of my own beer. And this is quite well carbonated, this stuff. Not to get a bit of head on it. There we have it. Cheers. That's very drinkable.